Welcome to my first video review. The movie that we'll be discussing is Suzume. This has been written, directed, and even storyboarded by Makoto Shinkai. I've just gotten done watching this tonight as a recording of this video, which should be uploaded today, which is the day after. What the movie is just really about is a high schooler that helps a young, mysterious man opening doors from the other side, preventing disasters all over Japan. I don't want to explain too much into it of what I'm explaining, since the recent trailers have really explained literally the whole plot of this movie. Uh, for what I've seen, just the teaser was just the protagonist running with the chair towards a door. This is Makoto Shinkai's longest movie that he has released. His last movie that he has released was Weathering with You, which goes for 1 hour and 52 minutes. And the one after that is Your Name, which is being 1 hour and 46 minutes, which, by the way, Your Name is the best, if not the perfect movie I've seen, and everyone should go see this. I stand by this. But for Suzume, it goes for 2 hours and 2 minutes. That being, again, his longest movie that he has ever released. Now, does that make this a boring movie? In that case, since this being his longest movie he has released, I say no. And the reason for that being is the way how you start the intro before you hit the titles. It's a bit fast paced coming from Suzume understanding what we're dealing with compared to Your Name and Weathering with You, of how the situation is revealed probably 30 minutes in, if I'm going to be completely honest, if not longer than that. Because it really does show in Weathering with You, which I've just seen it the night before this, and also Your Name 2 days before watching Suzume, has conflict in its stories. More to the matter of a romance story, but you don't see it executed in this kind of way. In the first 10 minutes into this movie, it does not waste its time of what the premise actually will be. For the story itself, for a 2 hour movie, it paces itself really well, giving off that heartwarming ending, like how it did with Your Name and Weathering with You. I know I keep mentioning these movies a lot. These are the only movies I've seen from Makoto Shinkai. The characters for this movie is damn near perfect. Then again, you do have the side characters that don't serve that much of a purpose for the story. Yes, they do help out the main protagonists achieve their goals, but that's pretty much it, and you don't see them again till at the very end of the movie. I'm about to dabble into spoilers at this point, but I really don't want to, since I really want people to fully experience this movie, since this is from one of my favorite writers and directors. And if you're not an anime, that's fine. That's completely understandable. I get that it's weird, but you're missing out on watching these types of movies and these types of stories that will leave you walking out of the theater, if not pressing the pause button to be, whoa, this is crazy. That's just from my perspective of how I watch these movies. I don't watch a ton of anime anymore than I used to, but I do know that if there's a movie that's being made from one of my favorite writers and directors, for that instance being Makoto Shinkai, then you damn well know I'm going to see that movie on opening night. The animation for this movie is beautiful, and I mean beautiful. Yes, you can see snippets from this movie. Start watching the trailer, which I recommend that you don't. Just have a better experience to watch it in theaters, to have the naked eye look at how beautiful this movie looks. I know I said the word beautiful so many times, but it really does look beautiful. Also, the people that did the score for this is a band called Radwimps. They made recent scores for Your Name and also Weathering with You, to which then they also obviously made the score for Suzume. It's as good as all the other scores that they made for the last two movies, and I'm very excited that they did not miss a beat on this one. This is where I get into spoilers into Suzume, so if you don't want to hear any of the story, I would suggest clicking on the timestamp. Okay, now that they're gone, the parts where I didn't like in the movie was there was no cameos. I was expecting to have a cameo for this one, uh, mainly because I did see a cameo in Weathering with You, but unfortunately there was none here. I know that's more of a demanding, more of a hoping, which I can understand why Makoto Shinkai didn't want to make like more of a universe expansion thing like what Marvel's doing. I mean, yes, that would serve more of a shock factor to have cameos, like, for instance, if you have a cameo from the protagonist of Weathering with You. But then again, you could argue that it was probably for the best to not have it there. But for me, I was a bit disappointed. Another thing I didn't like was how they explained the cats that was here throughout the whole movie, of how it's literally explained that they're just gods and there's really nothing to it. Like, one of them does turn into a kaiju, which is pretty cool, I guess, but that's pretty much it. And from what I picked up from these movies, is that there's actual conflict to these stories. Like, and as I'm meaning in conflict, more of like natural disasters and how they are portrayed and like connected with these protagonists, if not the characters. Like how you have with Your Name, it's more of like a time and comet like tangled kind of situation. And with Weathering with You, it's more of a like flash flood, gathering storm that's connected with the Sunshine Girl and also affecting like the whole town of Tokyo. And with this one, it's more of a like earthquake, yet like a kaiju thing that's being covered from like these doors, if not being protected by like the gatekeepers, if I remember, which is not a bad thing. I just like the way how it's written into this romance story, if not an actual story itself. It adds more emotion and driven the characters to go out of their way to be with their beloved one. The story was good, pacing was good, characters was good, animation was fantastic, the score was fantastic. I've just seen this tonight as we're recording this video. Suzume is out now if you want to go watch it. I will say it's not as great as Your Name, but it is a very, very good movie. And right now, for me, it is literally the best movie I've seen this year. And for that, I'm giving this a 9.2 out of 10.